Josh Emmett versus Shane Burgos took place in the co-main event of UFC Fight Night Vegas 3, Blaydes versus Volkov. And before we even get into the fight and the rounds and the scoring, let's just talk about how great of a fight that was, because that was fight of the night 100%. I have never seen someone with the chin of Shane Burgos, perhaps since Tony Ferguson. Dare I even compare anyone to the god of chins himself, T. Ferg. But, I mean, Shane Burgos is a contender for greatest chin in MMA because Josh Emmett puts guys to sleep. And Shane Burgos was eating his shots in those first 2 rounds like Tic Tacs. Like, he was just... like, there was no regard for Josh Emmett's power whatsoever. I thought Shane Burgos was going to come out there and be a little bit hesitant in the first round, maybe get dropped in the first round, and then slowly start to pick things up as the rounds went on. But Shane Burgos went out there in that first round and just basically invited Emmett to give him his best punch. And Emmett answered with some great punches in that first round. Vicious haymakers, by the way. Huge shots, and used a lot of energy in that first round. And Burgos just ate everything and kept coming, and even outlanded Emmett in round 1 and round 2. In round 1, Burgos outlanded Emmett more than he outlanded Emmett in round 2, which is why I kind of want to get to the story. But let's just talk about the rounds, and we'll go through everything. It was an amazing fight, for sure, getting fight of the night. Josh Emmett got his hand raised. Before I get into talking about the judging, when this fight was over, I scored it for Josh Emmett, rounds 1 and 3. I thought it was pretty clear, but then I saw the stats afterwards and saw that Shane Burgos outlanded Josh Emmett in the first round and outlanded him in the entire fight as well. But in that first round, outlanded Josh Emmett 46-36 and had the better strike rate as well by 69%. Very funny. That's the sexual position. 40% landed for Josh Emmett, and Josh Emmett was swinging for the fences. Very close round to judge. This is as close of a fight as it gets in terms of not being called a robbery, but just being a controversial decision, because a lot of people jump to robbery, and I'm maybe one of those people. I thought that Gedalia versus Hill was a little bit of a robbery. I thought that Barboza versus Ige was a little bit of a robbery as well. I thought Vera versus Yudong was a little bit, you know what I mean? There are some fights where you can kind of see who wins, but this one, in my opinion, is an opinion fight. Like, it depended on how you scored a fight game, you could have given this to either guy. I think what's more reasonable, and something that could have been scored that wasn't actually scored by any judge, was a draw. No judge gave Josh Emmett a 10-8 in round 3. I didn't give Josh Emmett a 10-8 in round 3 because I thought Burgos, although getting dropped, was not losing the whole round other than getting dropped. Like, you know, Josh Emmett landed the big shots and did drop Shane Burgos. But there was never really a moment where I thought, okay, this is it for Shane Burgos. And even when he did get back up, he was landing big shots back as well, and he made it a scrap in that third round, which is why I gave it still a 10-9. But a 10-8 could have been given, and I wouldn't have minded if a 10-8 was given. But the first round is the real toss-up. And it's the question that's been in MMA recently since Gaethje versus Ferguson, I feel like, has been sort of the uprising question on what counts more, landed or damage. I personally think that landed counts more, but damage can overcome being outlanded, I feel like, especially if they're massive shots that are actually concussing your opponent, stumbling your opponent backwards. Say you land an elbow that slices up the forehead of your opponent. Those shots can maybe count for a couple of strikes that you get outlanded by. But the first round is close. By my own standards of judging, looking at the stats, I should give Shane Burgos round 1. And a lot of people were torn on a decision in my live chat for my Fight Companion, which I go live for every single fight, by the way. Tune in and subscribe. But either way, a lot of people in my chat had it 1-1. Some people had it 2-0 Emmett. I thought it was 1-1 after the second round. Some people even had it 2-0 Burgos. I didn't see that, but then when I saw the stats afterwards, I'm like, well, hang on a second. Shane Burgos did better in round 1 on stats than he did in round 2, but I understand in round 2 as well, he started landing a little bit more impactful shots. He was walking Emmett down the entire fight as well, but Emmett was landing haymakers. I just don't know what the exchange rate is for haymakers versus strikes landed, and I would like that to be written down in some kind of judging criteria, because that first round is full opinion. Honestly, I thought Josh Emmett won because he landed way more. But if this is a kickboxing match, Burgos wins round 1. And this fight did not touch the canvas. Emmett went for a takedown at the end of round 1, couldn't get it, and Burgos sprawled and defended well. 8th best takedown defense in UFC history, by the way. Shane Burgos, probably 7th best takedown defense because he just rose it up even more. Shane Burgos is ridiculous. His chin is crazy. One thing I do want to talk about as well, credit to Josh Emmett after that first round. Something happened to his knee. I know he says he tore his ACL. I don't think he tore his ACL because he seemed to be moving okay on it afterwards. It was bothering him here and there, but then again, Burgos was chopping up his legs a bit, so I think we can account some of that to why Emmett was moving a bit weirdly on his leg. But I think he just, you know when you're moving up the stairs, and I compared it to this in the middle of the fight. You know when you're walking up the stairs, and you're not looking at the stairs, and you think you've got one step left, but you don't, and you just sort of stiffen your leg and plank leg the last step, and it kind of fucks up your knee for a second. I think that's what happened to Emmett. And then getting kicked on the calf and the inside leg over and over again probably doesn't help with that either. I think this fight could have gone either way. I'm not angry at a decision. It was not a robbery. I'm not ready to start fucking autistically screeching, fucking robbery, all this. I'm not going to do that shit. Close fight. Could have gone either way. Opinion-based fight. I thought it was 2-1 Emmett after it was over, but then looking at the scores, I could see why maybe you could make an argument for Shane Burgos winning the first 2 rounds, but then again, I could see an argument for maybe giving it a 10-8 in the third. Both guys are dog tough. Both guys are going to go on and do good things in the division. I predicted Burgos to win. I thought he was going to get it done by 3rd round TKO, and I do want to talk about something that also affected the fight massively that a lot of people aren't going to consider. Burgos landing that groin shot in the 3rd round may have switched the momentum back into Emmett's favour, because at the end of that 2nd round, it was looking like a one-way ticket to absolute death for Josh Emmett in that 3rd. And then at the start of the 3rd round, it looked like we were picking up just where we left off in the 2nd, but then Shane Burgos landed the groin shot. Josh Emmett got like 2 minutes off to get his bearings back and all of his energy back, and then just dropped Shane Burgos with a jab of all things. I don't understand chins. I don't understand chins. It makes it so impossible to predict MMA fights. I don't get chins. I don't understand them. They don't make any sense. I watched in the 1st round Josh Emmett wing haymakers from the underworld on Shane Burgos' chin. And I'm not talking about here. I'm talking here. Middle knuckle. Straight on the fucking jaw. Like spinning his head around. Nothing happened. Emmett lands a jab in round 3. Burgos is down. It makes no sense. I don't understand chins. They don't make any sense. But either way, Emmett got the win. Good job, Josh Emmett. And for what's next? I think the groin shot did affect things, but you know, don't throw groin shots at the same time. Make your shots a bit cleaner. So it's not like I can complain about that. I'm just saying that the groin shot, in my opinion, did play a huge factor in Emmett getting his breath back and having that KO power in the 3rd round that he didn't have in the 2nd or 1st, weirdly enough. But either way, Shane Burgos could have won. I don't think he won. I thought I'd give it to Emmett. The shots that he landed in the 1st round. This ain't Gaethje Ferguson shots where they're just good, clean shots. This was like spin your head around on your shoulders kind of shots. I kind of lean towards Emmett when I'm judging this. I agree with some people that there could be an argument made for Burgos, but I'm going to go with Emmett. But even still, what a fight. Amazing fight. Nobody's stock goes down. Shane Burgos just showed once again that he's an entertaining motherfucker on the prelims. He's not going to drop down the rankings. Let me just check the UFC rankings real quick, because this is going to be interesting on what happens next for these two guys. Because Josh Emmett, in my opinion, should be looking for the winner of Calvin Kattar versus Dan Ige. I know that Calvin Kattar probably wouldn't be smart to take on that fight, but listen, at the top of the featherweight division right now, good luck breaking into the top 5, because Zabit versus Yair still hasn't been signed. Ortega versus Zombie still hasn't been signed, even though we know both of those fights are happening. I don't know what the hold-up is. I guess Yair's getting his last-minute marathon running in, just to make sure he can go 5 rounds this time. But even still, listen, Josh Emmett versus the winner of Kattar versus Ige, and then maybe Shane Burgos versus the loser of Kattar versus Ige. That would also make sense. Then we could maybe get a Kattar versus Burgos rematch, Burgos versus Ige, an Emmett versus Kattar matchup, Emmett versus Ige. I don't know if Kattar's going to be willing to take a jump down the rankings again after he's just done it for Dan Ige, but still, anything could happen in MMA. I wouldn't be surprised if they made those matchups next. But maybe Kattar wouldn't be so willing to drop down the rankings for a fight with Josh Emmett, because let's face it, Josh Emmett is one of the riskiest fights in that division. But Shane Burgos shouldn't hold his head too low. I think he's going to slip down maybe one ranking position. But listen, if he doesn't want to take on the loser of Qatar versus Ige, I'm up for Shane Burgos versus Jeremy Stephens. I'm up for Shane Burgos versus, let's say, Cub Swanson's coming off a win. Cub Swanson coming off a win against Kron Gracie, so maybe not that, but Shane Burgos versus Kron Gracie. I know Kron Gracie wouldn't mind getting jumped straight back into the rankings, so Shane Burgos needs to take some time off because he took a lot of concussive damage. His chin is something out of a film. I have no idea how he can take that punishment, but he just can, and it's unfair. I actually said in the middle of the round, in the middle of round 1 and round 2, I was saying this is just unfair. There's no way of beating this. Unless you get groin shotted and get all your energy back, but still. It's just unfair sometimes when you watch these fights. I don't know if you guys realise this, but when I watch fights, I can see someone doing better things. I can see someone outstriking someone. I can see someone having a better game plan, higher fight IQ. But when you've got a chin from the gods, it's just a bit OP. You know? So Shane Burgos, just ram your head into a toaster a couple times just to weaken that chin up for us, because it's unfair. You should think about your colleagues in the featherweight division right now, Shane Burgos, and just not abuse them in that way by taking every single punch they have. It doesn't make sense, and it shouldn't be allowed in MMA to insert granite into your chin. You should not be allowed to make that surgery. I don't know who allowed it. I don't know if it's authorized by USADA, like Greg Hardy's inhaler, but you shouldn't be able to lace your chin with granite. I don't think it's right. It's like someone putting nail varnish on their Conquer in a Conquer tournament. It makes no sense. Like and subscribe. Thank you for watching. Click that button there. Great fight. Could have gone either way. I thought it went to Josh Emmett. Probably could have gone to Josh Emmett. I think we're all in agreement there. Thank you for watching. See you later.